Okay guys, welcome back. So this is the third video in the ongoing series that is building a basic to-do application with Flask. If you haven't watched the earlier two videos, I suggest that you should do so, because the first one was like an introductory video which I showed you what the finished to-do application would look like and all the functionalities that it will have. And in the second video I showed you how you can do a basic Flask application setup. That's where we got all this setup from. So in this video now, what I'm just going to be showing you guys is how you can create your models, also how you can set up environment variables, and then last but not least, how you can create a simple Postgres SQL database locally using the PG admin 4, and then connect. We're also going to connect this our Flask application to that model, to that database, and then migrate our models to it. So as always, I also wrote a post about the steps for this particular video, so I'm just going to be following along with that post. So this is the post right here. Don't worry, I'll leave a link down to it in the description. As you can see, the first thing that we need to do now is to create our two models. Now, if you watch the introductory video, you will notice that there are two models in that particular to-do application. That is the category model and the to-do model, and they are related to each other because, as you can see from that first video, if you check it out, you will see that you can create a category, but when you want to create a to-do, you have to attach a category to that particular to-do that you want to create. So what this just means is that every to-do must have one particular category, but a particular category can be assigned to different to-do objects. Don't worry, you understand more as we go along in the video. So as you can see in the models.py file, we have to create two models. So these are the two models right here, the category model and the to-do model. And the category model is going to be made up of three fields. We have the ID field, which will be like a unique identifier for that particular model, a primary key. And then we have the name field, which is going to be a string. This ID field is going to be an integer, while the name field is going to be a string. This is where we're going to enter the name of our category. And then we now have to do. So what this does is that it's like a reverse relationship to this to do model right here. So what this particular part says is that it does describe what happens whenever we delete a category. So what this is saying is that whenever we delete a category, you should go and delete all the associated to-dos, because in PostgreSQL, if let's say you are relating to-do to a category and then you delete that category, if that to-do is still there in the database, whenever you try to access it, it will actually give you an error, especially when that field is not nullable, which, as you can see, we made it right here. It's not nullable. All right, so then this part is just for you to return the category, the ID, and the name. Then let me, for to do now, for to do we have the table name. This table name is just going to describe what we want the to do model to be called in our database. That's when we migrate the model to our database, what that particular table will be called. It also has an ID field, which is also like I said, is the primary key. That's a unique identifier for each object in this model. And then it has a description, and this description is where we're going to enter what that particular to do is all about. Let's say buy hats, buy shoes, etc. I think you get the point. And then, as you can see, its nullable is also equal to false, so it must be entered for you to be able to create this create an object under this to do model. And then the next one that we now have is the category. Now this is where we now connect this to do to this category. So as you can see, it's a foreign key field, and it is connected to this category via the ID. So what this just means is that each category, each to do must have a single category attached to it. So this function is just performing something similar to this particular one. It's just telling it that whenever you delete um, whenever you delete a category, you should delete all the associated to-dos. So I think I've explained. Okay, let me copy the codes for the model first of all. So you just copy from here, go to your models.py file and paste it in. Now, as you can see, you need to add a couple of imports. So come back and just copy the three of them. go back here, replace this. So as you can see, is there if I forget, let me activate my virtual environment. So as you can see, my virtual environment is active right now. Okay, so we are done with this part. I've explained what each of the fields in this model does. So the next thing that we need to do now is to set up environment variables for our Flask application. Now, what is the benefit of setting up environment variables? This way we'll be able to separate our development environment from our production environment and keep our configurations different, and also keep our, let's say, our database URL, our secret keys, for us to be able to keep it private. Because I know that as you're building this application, you're probably going to want to push it to your GitHub, and you won't just want anyone to have access to your database um, connection string, for example, because if they do, they can go and mess things up, mess things up for you. So I wrote an article on how you can set up the environment variables flags. So you can just click on this link. And say this is the article right here. So if you follow the process one by one, you should be able to set up environment variables for your Flask application with ease. Let me just follow it right now and just do it quickly. So I won't waste time explaining it. If you want, you can just go through the article. So the first thing is to just install this python.net package. That's the first one. The second one is to create a .env file. Paste this in. So I'm going to be doing that as well. Create a .env file. Paste this in, secret key, debug, and then true. So because we're in a development environment, debug is set to true, but if you're in a production environment, debug should be set to false. Now, the next thing that we need to do now is to add it. Now, as you can see from our setup, this is how we can add uh, load local variables in our Flask application. So, we have a config.py file. So let's just copy all of this, copy it, and go to our config.py file and paste it in right here like this. So what this just means right now is that we have access to our secret key. Is getting the secret key value from this .env file. So we have the secret key, the debug mode, and the database URL. So I think that's, let me see, yeah, that's pretty much it. But we need to add .env to our gitignore file. If you use this template, then you have a standard gitignore file already, and .env should be inside of it. So the next thing that we need to do now, for now, I'm not using this secret key. If let's say you yourself you want to use a specific secret key for your application, then by all means go ahead. But I'm going to be removing this from mine because I am actually using it. As you can see right here, I'm creating the secret key using random values. So, but I am using the debug mode and the DB URL. So from here, you can change the debug. No, sorry, debug mode right here, and the database URL here as well, db URL. So that's all. I've already said this is a simple process for you to set up the environment variables for your application. If you want to understand it in depth, I suggest I should just go through this tutorial right here. So let me go back. I think we're done with this. Let me go back here. So now the next thing now is let me refresh this. I made some changes earlier. Okay, so now the next thing that we need to do now, why is it not reflecting? Let me see. Let me save this. Okay. I made some changes. Oh yeah, this is it right now. So next thing that you need to do now is to create a local PostgreSQL database on your PC. So I haven't done an article or a video on how you can do that yet because I've already set it up on my own PC already. But I found a link. That's this link right here. Let me open it so that I can go to it. If you follow this link right here, you learn how you go to download and install the Postgres SQL for Windows. So all you just have to do is follow the steps right here. It shows you how you can download it and how you can install it and set everything up. So after you've done that, what you are going to have, for example, is this application right here. So this is my own PG admin 4 application. So let me open it first so that you see what this does is that it contains all your database instances. So let me, okay, do my password again. So databases, currently I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 5 databases. So to create a new one, for example, so I'm going to create a new one for this particular application. So just come here, click on database, click on create database. Now you need to give your database a name. So let's say I already have a Flask to do right there. So let me call it something else. Flask, no, let's say main space Flask to do. Oh no, no, Flask to do two. First one is Flask to do. So the owner, now this way you can select the owner. So let's just leave it at default as Postgres. You don't need to touch all these other parts. Just click on save. So what this is going to do now is that it's going to create a Postgres SQL database instance for you on your machine. So this is going to take a couple of seconds. Let's just wait, and it goes ahead and does so. Okay, so as you can see, this is the database right here. It has been created successfully. Let me open it up so that you can see. Yeah, this is our database right here, Flask to do 2. Now, if you go to schemas, public, and then tables, can you see that we have nothing inside right now because we haven't migrated our models to our database yet. So now let me go back. So can you see this URL sample right here? You see it, right? So now what you need to do, let me show. Okay, uh, let's say for example, this is our URL sample, right? So this database that we just created is going to have, this is the name of the user, which as you can remember, I told you that we should leave it default as Postgres. Every other thing, like this beginner part, will remain the same. So the parts that will be changing, this that will be changing are the ones that I'm just showing you right now. This will be the name of the user. So like I said, if you leave it default as Postgres, you can leave here as Postgres as well. This will be the password for your database. So when you are setting up your PG admin 4, should have asked you to generate or should I say you have to choose a default password. So this is what is going to be the password. It can be any value right here. So the next thing now is localhost and port number. I think it's been a while since I installed it, but I think it's going to ask you for you to be able to select which particular port number you want to use for the Postgres SQL database. So if I think this is the default one, so if you leave it as default, it will still be 5432. Then this now is now the name of our application. So on my own local machine, my password is actually 2019, right? So now the next thing to do is add to right here. Remember the database that we created, the name is flax hyphen to do 2. So add to at the ending, and that's it. We have our database URI. Let me repeat what I said. I said this is in case maybe some you guys are confused. What I said is that this is the username, that's the user of that particular database. This is the password. This is the host, which when you are creating when you install and you're setting up the PG admin 4, it will ask you to select a default port number. So it's always localhost, and then the port number is whatever port number you selected, while this now will now be the name of your database. So let me copy this right here. Next thing that we need to do now is to go to our .env file, and this database URI, let us post it in right here. Okay, after you've done that, yeah, we need to go and uncomment all these configuration setup, the ones that we did right here. So just come to this place and uncomment them all. So what this is going to do is that it's going to allow the app to access those configuration parameters in your config.py file. And you know that your config.py file in turn is getting some parameters or some values from your .env file, which are your environment variables. Now, the next thing that we need to do now is that we need to set up Flask in our terminal. So this is how you do it in command prompt, this is how you PowerShell, and this is how you do it on Mac. So I'm going to be using command prompt. So let me just copy this. Let me say command prompt, right? See, the virtual environment is still active. If it's not active, you have to activate it again. So set, okay, no, I think I made a mistake. That article, this is supposed to be for PowerShell. Yeah, this is supposed to be for PowerShell, and I think this is for Git, while this one is for Linux. I will fix this error. So like I said, this particular one, this first one, is actually the one for PowerShell. So let me copy it right here. You can see why I say it's for PowerShell, because it's highlighted yellow. So if what this does is that we are setting our Flask app variable to our root application, which is this app.py right here. Click on enter. Don't worry, it's not supposed to output anything. If it outputs something, then there's something wrong. So if it doesn't output anything, the next step, you just move on to the next step, which is step 2, initializing your database migrations. So you can do that by doing flask db init, like this. Flask db init. You can enter. Just give it a couple of seconds. Okay, yeah, it has initialized our database. As you can see, we have a migration file, migration directory right here, which contains details of our migrations. So the next thing that we need to do now is to generate a migration script where the structures of our models will be in. So that one now is flask db migrate. So we now have flask db migrate. So that one also ran successfully. As you can see, it's detected automatically the tables that we have here. That is our models category and to do. Can you see? Detected and added category table, detected and added to do table. So the next step now is that's the last one, Flask DB upgrade. What this does now is to migrate those our changes, that's those our models, to our database. So let me do it right now. That is Flask DB upgrade. I did spell it correctly. Yeah, upgrade. So it has finished migrating our changes to the database, and how we can confirm this is to go to our pgadmin 4. Now remember that this was empty before, right? So let me refresh it. Can you see it's no longer empty? We have our category table and our to-do table right here. So under columns, if you remember, for to-do we had ID, description, and category, while under category for our columns we have the ID and the name as well. So that's just what I wanted to show you guys how you can do in this particular video. So I think, yeah, from this video we were able to set up our models with foreign key relationships, and we're also able to set up environment variables and create a local Postgres SQL database using pgadmin for application and also migrate our changes in our models to that specific uh, database. Okay guys, so that's pretty much it for this particular video. In the next one now, what I'm going to be showing you guys is how you can perform get requests in your Flask to do application. So what this just means is that I'm going to be showing you guys how you can display the list of categories and to-dos in your HTML page. That's, it should be visible for the user to see. What I mean is for example, let me start. Okay, I think you get the point. This where is it? This Flask application right here. As you know, currently what we have on our front end is app is working and dev masters is awesome. So I'm going to change it up so that you'll be able to view the list of all the to-dos and the categories that we have for our application. Now, the thing about that is that currently right now, our tables are empty. That's, we just have an empty to do table and an empty category table. So what I'm going to do in the next video as well is show you how you can add to dos and categories via the PG4 admin application. And then when we've added them, I will now show you how you can show them on the index.html page. So what it does means is that we're going to be taking data from this app.py page, app.py file, which is going to query our database and then display them on this index.html page for the user to see. So that's all for this video. Please do ensure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.